This is a quick introduction of Shipa, an application as code platform that can help you move away from application infrastructure entanglement to focusing on delivering value quickly. It's no secret that today businesses win by getting their applications in front of their users fast and securely. But the fast evolution of the application infrastructure has caught many teams entangled in creating internal custom solutions. And this takes time away from delivering value and ultimately reaching the goal of getting your business in front of your customers fast. We can quickly see how infrastructure, and especially control planes, evolve over the last few years. We saw Puppet coming along in 2005, followed by Chef a few years later. Then Ansible came along, changing some of the principles of how you operate infrastructure. With the advancement of cloud computing, we then saw Terraform. And now, with cloud native, we saw technologies such as Crossplane and Pulumi redefining how you manage infrastructure. Special focus on the infrastructure word, as the application itself was never their focus. And we can also take into consideration other equally important product launches, such as Kubernetes and Docker. While these were all great, moving between each technology fundamentally changed how you deploy, manage, and secure your applications. You may think that this is an expected outcome of change, but let's look at some data to see how those changes are impacting teams continuously. Your engineers could be nearly 50% more productive than they are today. That's right, almost 50%. That's a lot, right? And how did we get to this number? Stripe recently performed a global survey with development teams to understand their current productivity levels, where the main question was simple. From 0 to 100%, how productive are developers in your company? The surprising and maybe unexpected answer was a shocking 68% only. Digging deeper, one of the main drivers of that answer was the time building and supporting custom technologies. More specifically, technology that is not a core part of your business. You may say this is just a survey and may not reflect your team's performance. You may be correct. But now let's bring it home to a case that we see more and more as companies have a hard look at a problem like this, brought by the constant change we have in the application infrastructure. In working with a large enterprise recently, doing this ROI analysis with them, we discovered that their 20 plus DevOps and platform engineers were spending approximately 30% of their time building and maintaining custom platforms to help deploy, manage, and secure their applications, and assisting developers in deploying and supporting their applications as a result of these custom platforms. We also saw that developers spent around 25% of their time rebuilding their pipeline scripts, learning new technologies, switching between old and new application infrastructure, and try to understand how to support their apps post-deployment. The result was surprising to all teams, DevOps, developers, and management. The cost of these custom initiatives caused by evolving their application infrastructure was north of $2 million every year. So basically, $2 million invested in initiatives that are not directly involved in their business-related applications, delaying the delivery of value. Another surprising number was that although the goal of evolving the application infrastructure was to enable faster application deployment and support, it actually decreased application delivery and support times by 25% across the organization. And last, given these impacts, internal teams now face challenges implementing new technologies and evolving their application infrastructure. It became hard for their engineering team to get buy-in from management to implement new tools with the fear of increasing costs or more complexity that can further impact teams. If we analyze the desired state when they started moving towards new application infrastructures, from a DevOps or platform perspective, they wanted to adopt technologies such as Kubernetes and GitOps and move to a new infrastructure fast. They wanted to enforce controls easily, so applications deployed could be automatically secured. And last, they wanted to enable self-service for developers to reduce the burden on the DevOps team. From a management perspective, they wanted an agile team that could react and evolve quickly, delivering incremental value fast with a secure and scalable environment. They also wanted a happy development team through good quality application infrastructure service level. Ultimately, they wanted to help their business win by getting their applications in front of their users fast, making their team, the DevOps team, stand out as a critical enabler in their organization. With developers being consumers of the application infrastructure service, they also had expectations, right? One such as they wanted to get their applications in front of their end users faster, while being able to manage their applications properly, ideally having a strong self-service capability. But where did they end up more than 1 year after they started that journey? It was on a very different place. Given existing and new infrastructure tools, now DevOps teams, they have complex and an ever-growing number of mixed pipelines to manage. Implementing and reporting on application policies across these mixed environments is no ordinary task. And now they end up spending even more time helping developers understand their application environments. DevOps managers ended up having to scale their teams to keep on building and maintaining platforms, diverting time and resources away from the core business goal. And every new tool they brought in required new custom development, so more time, again, away from the core business. They now have the development teams and their managers complaining about complexity. And when it comes to security, reporting on application policies and history is no trivial task. In the end, developers ended up with an even more complex process to deploy and support their applications, hence depending more on the DevOps team with each new change. So how can you move away from the move fast and break things paradigm to move fast, deliver value, and be the champion in your organization? In the same way, infrastructure as code enable your teams to deliver and manage infrastructure more efficiently, your teams now need to define and secure applications as code. To be effective, you need to detach your application definitions from the underlying infrastructure. You need to have a standard way to define and apply application level policies no matter what underlying infrastructure your DevOps teams decide to use. By doing that, you can secure your applications across existing and new infrastructure, moving security fast in your organization. You need to give developers in your organization a standard way to define and deploy their applications, making the underlying infrastructure your team chooses seamless to them, freeing up your DevOps team to evolve or change infrastructure as needed. And by detaching your application deployment and policies from the underlying infrastructure, you're free to move from regular CI pipelines to GitOps pipelines, from Terraform to Pulumi, or from EC2 to Kubernetes, without impacting application deployment and security. To finalize, adopting an application as code approach should give you a standard application operational framework where through a centralized portal, DevOps, SREs, DevSecOps, and developers can manage, support, and audit applications. And that's how we change the game for organizations today with Shipa. We enable your DevOps or platform teams to define and apply application level policies as code using a standard definition, regardless of the underlying infrastructure. Shipa is the application as code layer that then translates those policies to a way that the respective underlying infrastructure can understand. With that, developers can then just define and push their applications in a standard way without having to worry about creating infrastructure-related objects, such as Kubernetes objects, manifests, and more. Shipa, again, as the application as code layer, takes those definitions and deploys them to the desired infrastructure seamlessly. Last, you give DevOps, developers, DevSecOps, and SREs a centralized application platform where they can see logs, audit reports, history, connect to incident management tools, and more, no matter on which infrastructure the application is deployed. So the final result we see with companies using Shipa is that their DevOps and platform teams move from a state where they take months to build and deliver abstractions, entangled and complicated to support custom platforms with complex and sometimes unmanageable policies, to a state where they can keep evolving the infrastructure, quickly implement and report on policies, and reduce the burden on their side when it comes to supporting developers. As managers and leaders, your teams move from being a cost center to enablers, where you can move fast without breaking things, increasing the speed of delivery, quality, and predictable results. Developers can then deploy their applications faster and self-support them while operating within the guardrails set up by the DevOps teams through the policies previously defined. And last but not least, security teams can now have easy access to application lifecycle history, security reports, RBAC rules, service-to-service communication, and more. Your application infrastructure has and will always be changing. How you adapt and continue delivering value fast, it's your choice. Application as code is here, and we're leading this category to help you be on the winning side.